Yanakusha, welcome. Hetapu, Alafia. I'd like to tell you all, Habari Gani. Peace and blessings. Thank you for being on this channel. We're not going to take much longer to get into the topic of the day. This is the African Ancestral Manuscript Jellyba channel. The Jellyba is a storyteller. Every great king and every great community needed a storyteller to remind them of who they were, especially when they're going astray and going down the wrong path. So the Jellyba comes back and appears for your children when they're about to commit mistakes because they don't remember who they are. They're convoluted, polluted, disjointed, and heading down the path of stereotypes which has been created to trap them in prisons of the mind and physical, and prisons of the soul and the spirit, which they need to get out of. So that's what the Jellyby channel is here for. I'm doing a plug for my newest book, Broken Coconuts in Our Grandmother's Grave, 9 years in the making, telling the story of the great Jane Mope Paul Short, who was our matriarch, who enabled us to be here today, enabled my mother to do what she does, enabled my family to stay united, enabled me to inherit the storytelling Jellyba consciousness which is arisen within my person. So Dwau to the ancestor Jane Paul, the enlightened ancestor, and may she continue to guide our family and those around us into the light of truth. Ashe. Now today the topic is a simple topic. Why you need not stress about stress. Why don't you need to stress about stress? There are a few things which I'm going to talk about. I'm going to refer you to this great book, Stress Free for Life, by Raunefer Amen, who's one of the great scholars of our time, great leaders of our time. The premise of this little speech I'm doing today is why should we not need to stress about stress? Because stress is not given. We perceive, and through this Western culture and this backwards, lower cultivating culture, that stress is in the things of the world, externalized. So we say there's a stressful event. It's a stressful day. I'm going into a stressful atmosphere. That person is a stressful person. You know, what we're doing when we say that in our mind, that's the trickster in our mind, the sebek in our mind that's laughing at us. Cackle, 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 cackle. He got you. Once you say that to yourself, you're caught. You have made an external aspect of the world control you. When in truth, you are the one in the control of your person. Things in themselves do not have a quality of being stressful, but you have a stress reaction to those things. That's why some people are cool and calm, even in the face of imminent issues, and some other people are panicking, can't operate. Those people who are cool and calm have learned strategies in order not to have a stress reaction to a situation. Because the situation is just what it is. It's a situation. It's neutral. The situation is the situation. We know that when we used to be in danger, mortal danger, back in our prehistory, animals would chase us. We would have that fight or flight reaction. It was totally natural because the muscles needed blood above the brain and the heart because we needed to have a muscular reaction. Run away as fast as we can. The predator is about to catch you. Now, this, in the modern world, has become very unnecessary, only in a few occasions. Being a martial artist, I know that if people do attack you, you need the power in your muscles. You need to generate that force. But even in the martial arts, when you stay calm, you can apply better your teachings, as I know in judo, as I've practiced when I was in emotional states, and I've practiced when I was in a calm state, and I've always been more successful, winning gold medals up until the world masters level. So we need to understand and understand that when we say something is stressful, we have made ourselves become human and animal instead of our divinity of who we are. The true self is all there. I'm not saying that some things are not going to be taxing or some things are not going to elucidate a stress reaction, but then you need to identify that I am having a stress reaction to this situation. and not the situation itself being stressful. That's the first thing you need to do. Mentally reason from that premise. And when you're reasoning from that premise, there's lots of things you can do. I always say that this is a great opportunity to practice your training and to practice your patience and your peace. These so-called stressful situations. There are opportunities for you to work on your divinity. And we work on a divinity by doing certain processes. Within the book, Stress Free for Life, there is a good panacea of items and exercises you can use to reduce and eliminate completely that stress reaction, because stress is not a given. Stress is in your being, in your fibers, in the way in which you tense up when the situation arises. If you, of course, you apply the low abdominal breathing, and they tell you to do all types of strategies, close your eyes and count to 10 backwards, because I was in corrections and they gave us all these little training tools and modules which we could use when we were faced with a code blue, where there was somebody attacking somebody and there was a life and death scenario, or possibly a severe injury scenario, where we needed to apply these strategies. Once again, me as well being formed and trained as a mental health first aid and working in a mental health unit in a maximum security facility, that was part of the training we received. We received that training. And most times when people, instead of applying that training, they blanked out because they thought the situation was stressful. And I would always tell them, this is a great opportunity for us to practice our training, for us to practice what we've been taught. If only we were able to no longer feel that pressure in our muscles, tensions, but to breathe the lower abdomen, bring more oxygen to the brain, to the heart, then we would not have that same reaction to the scenario, and we would have different conclusions. So there's more details and more scientific breakdowns of how to go about doing this in Stress Free for Life by Ram Neferemen. So you can work on it when you get the book. But the good news is you need not stress about stress, because when you do the proper work, you can eliminate stress, that stress reaction. And you can eliminate your perception that any scenario is stressful. What you need to do is understand that it's mind over matter, as above, so below. You cannot identify things like that which take away your power to be a divine being. When you say it's a stressful situation, it's that the situation has power over you. You do not have the power to cultivate a divine reaction to that scenario, right? So we need to stop using, and I talked about the 4 different words in one of my previous posts, which I did, one of my previous blog posts, one of my previous channel posts, which I did. I talked about the 4 different words, and the words which are metuju and metujef, they will identify you to saying things like, this is a stressful situation, that's a stressful person, that's a stressful place to go to. I mean, you might not want to go to a place, but that's not because the place is stressful, it's because you haven't used done the work enough for you to have a peaceful reaction and a useful reaction when you are in those surroundings. And if you do the work, then you could see that that place or that person or that thing is an opportunity for you to practice the training which you've already initiated and you're already perfecting along the way of you living. So let's stop speaking with the metuju and the metujef, because that's going to condemn us to the lower realms of existence in the sahu and maybe the kab and the kaibit, instead of ascending to the ba and the shechem as well, attending to the ku and ascending to the ba. Sorry, attending to instead of going to the shechem, the ku and the ba, we will stay in the sahu. And those are the divisions of the spirit. I will do a breakdown of it some other time. But just to reassure everybody, one and all, listening to me, that you need not stress about stress, because stress in itself can be removed. Stress in itself, you can be stress free for life. And it's not about not putting yourself in those situations that you think are challenging, but it's about working spiritually so that that challenge turns into an opportunity. And when you face it as an opportunity, you imbue yourself with the proper divine work which you need to do and the proper divine energy you need to manifest in order to negotiate that situation peacefully, harmoniously, and to retain your balance. Because at the end of the day, what we need to understand is stress is one of the worst killers of people in this world. You might have any ailment which you have, whether it's diabetes, whether it's high blood pressure, whether it's heart disease, whether it's whatever else. If you have stress on top of that, it's like you're enhancing the ability of the disease to have a negative effect on you, and you're hastening your own demise. So we need to work on removing stress, relaxing, deep breathing, meditating, and bringing that calm, that peace within our spirit. So it's not just something which is out of reach, but something which is always within us to manifest in the different scenarios we face in our lives, which once again cannot define as stressful. We need to define them as just as situations that give us opportunities to work on our divinity, to work on the training we have in this incarnation. And the main training we have for each one of us is to become divine beings, so we can have as above, so below, as below, so above, harmony and peace, unity within our spirit, within the people around us, and harmony in our relationships. I'm not going to go on too long, and I know this might seem not perceivable until we get ourselves really immersed in this text and really using some of the exercises and applying them to some of the situations which we have categorized mentally as stressful. Once we start using that, the techniques, the breathing, the harmony, the meditation techniques, the mantra, and the work on a daily basis, then these situations will eventually unstress. And then we'll realize that, as a matter of fact, the only stress of stress is stress in itself, right? And we don't need to stress about stress, because at the end of the day, like they say in Swahili, Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata means no worries, no wahala. Wahala no day. We're able for protect ourselves from wahala if we sabi how for work with spirit, correct one. If we dey work day by day, so till we reach the point where stress not dey affect we, and we not dey identify stress with the situation then when we live. So let's try to do that. Comme j'ai indiqué, je vais parler un petit peu en français parce que c'est un sujet très important. Le stress n'est pas dans les objets, les situations, mais c'est dans notre esprit à nous. Et par le travail spirituel, on peut faciliter notre accès à vivre une vie sans stress. Le stress n'est pas nécessaire, n'est pas dans les situations, mais c'est dans les réactions qu'on a à ces situations qu'on va donner des termes comme difficile, trop nul, etc. Et on va générer cette malaise. Mais quand on connaît notre esprit et on connaît qui on est vraiment, know thyself, on va faire le travail spirituel pour réduire et éventuellement, pas seulement réduire, mais rendre à néant le stress dans notre vie. Je recommande ce livre, Stress Free for Life, once again, Run for a Man. Read it, use it, and once again, don't worry about being worried. Don't stress about stress, because stress is not necessary. And when stress is removed, you'll live much longer and you'll be much more healthy. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Comme je dirais, ashe également, Hakuna Matata, wahala no day, stress no day. Let you not live your life suffer one. Enjoy every moment. Every moment is to be enjoyed. Either you're going to enjoy the moment in itself or enjoy the peace within your spirit. Because when you go from pleasure to peace and peace to pleasure, you always have something to enjoy, whether it's a pleasure or whether it's a peace. Because you can always enjoy peace. When there's nothing that you perceive as pleasurable around you, you can enjoy the internal peace. Once again, peace and blessings. J'aimerais vous dire remercier d'avoir écouté. Thanks for listening, for really hearing what I'm saying. And I will you that you will get the book and that you will start having a different cognizance of what stress is and how to negotiate the ideas which you have in your head about specific situations that have caused you lots of nuisance. Okay? Peace and blessings tout le monde. Passez une très bonne soirée. May the ancestors walk with you, the enlightened ancestors, and may we continue to be blessed. In April, we'll be coming back with some ancestral bios. We have quite a few of them. Till then, walk in the light of your divinity. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Odabo, Kwaheri, Lala Salama. Have a peaceful and blessed evening.